Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome to a new edition of Urban Sentinel Live. Well, we're going to bring it to you live tonight. Hope everyone's doing well out there tonight. Hated I missed you guys last week. Had a little touch of the flu, so, I had to kind of take it easy. After taking all these shots you got to take now, hey, you just still can't get around it. So I'm feeling good tonight. So I'm ready to get started. I got a good friend of mine tonight. He's an author and a writer of them love books. You don't find many men doing that, but he's doing it up. He's doing a great job. People love him. He goes by the name of Yonder. I call him Mr. Taboo. His surname is Rodney. So hey, we want to bring on Mr. Taboo tonight. We want to bring on Yonder, the author.
Thank you, Reggie, for having me. Look at you doing it. First of all, I want to thank you for doing it big, man. Look at you. We live streaming. I think about when I first met you. Ooh, I'm dating myself.
Long time ago.
Man, long time ago. You the first person that gave me the front page of a newspaper, man. And I'm forever grateful, man.
Hey, well, thank you. Yeah. For people who want to watch it tonight, if you got anybody who want to watch it, they go to podtv.tv. They can see it. They click on that link. They can see it live tonight also. The show will be going on. It's on YouTube right now. And you can get it on Fire Stick, Amazon, all that kind of stuff. Fire Stick, Amazon, Roku. It's there, man. It's out there, So after the show tonight, you want to send out, to your people, tell them to check it out.
So we're on Roku too. Oh, we're doing it big. Look at you.
Hey, man, I ain't doing nothing, man. You know me, boy.
I appreciate you, Reggie. I appreciate you.
Yeah, just a little something, Got my producer Mark, he takes care of it all, So I appreciate him, for helping out and stuff, getting us started, So as my man was saying, we've been knowing each other for Lord have mercy. Since the 90s, 2000,
Since the first look, matter of fact, you the one who put this on the front cover of your magazine 20 years ago, man.
Yeah, so it's been a while. We've been, we've been knowing each other, and then too, we were from the same hometown, not same hometown, we were living in the same area at one time in Maryland.
Yeah.
But he moved down to Tampa. He got sedated and sophisticated on us.
Nah. It was just time to get a change, man.
Look, moved out to cold weather in Florida. You can't tell him nothing there. We post some pictures of him laying on the beach. We'd be out here 10 degrees out here, be 80 degrees down in Tampa. He laying on the beach, But it's all good, So I'm glad to have you tonight, man. We haven't had been a while since we've been able to chop it up, So like I said, to my listening audience, my man, here, he's into writing erotic books, okay? A lot of times you think of women writing those books, but my man Yonder, he's done a lot. He's been out there for a while. He has a following and everything, So tell the audience about you, man. What you doing? Tell us how you got started, man.
Okay, I started writing years ago because I didn't like how books ended. So I started writing books to make them end the way I want to end. I mean, I'm a big reader. First of all, I'm a big reader. And I didn't like how books ended. And one day I was on a commuter bus and I was reading Rick Warren's Purpose-Driven Life. And you're supposed to read that in 30 days. It's a 30-day book. I read it all in one day. And after I read the book, I said, you know what? I want to be a writer. And I started writing from that day on a commuter bus going to work in D.C. And as I started writing, just on an old black and white new pad and everything. And once you start writing, any writer will tell you, as yourself, Reggie, any writer will tell you, you don't write the story writes itself. Once you start writing, you put down dates and times, you can wake up the next morning, you like, man, I wrote that. Because the story, a good story writes itself.
That's right.
People say imagination and is that no, a good story just writes itself. You put a pen in hand, as you have a storyline, it start writing itself, and then you put in some you put in locations. And I grew up in the Washington DC area back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and it's a wonderful place to have a storyline.
Mm-hmm. But okay, so you told us the why and how you got into it and everything. How, what have you contributed to your success to?
I'm humble. I'm humble. I help others. It's a few hundred writers I've helped along the way, from how to write the book to how to edit it. And then some of the writers I've had with me along the way, when they tell me they want to write a book, I say, hey, before you put the book out, tour with me for a year. Go out with me for 10, 15 times so you can actually see what you're getting yourself into. Because the biggest thing about some of the things in our culture is no one's done it before you done it. So you don't know how to do it. Mm-hmm. And I learned the hard way. I mean, I didn't know how to do a book signing. I just put the books on the table and just started signing. Didn't have a format. As I started going out more and more, I learned stuff. I learned how to do the setup and the whole 9 yards and everything. And as I bring it right out with me, I say, hey, work the table with me. Learn how to talk to people, because they're not buying a book, they're buying you. You gotta look the part. You gotta get there, look professional, talk to them professionally, act like a politician. You're hugging people and kissing babies, because it's all a process. Because it's when you're doing a book signing, it's roughly no less than 20 other authors there with you. Sometimes it's 200-300. You do the Harlem Book Festival. It's 500-600 people out there. You got the Zanes, you got the Michael Bazins, you got the Steve Harveys, you got the big boys. So it's hard to get noticed along a whole lot of big boys. But if you got the charisma and the talk, and folks can read your stuff, and you user friendly, they remember the user friendly person. They remember the person who talked to them, who laughed with them, who joked with them, who held a baby for them while they tied the tennis shoes or whatever. And that becomes part of what they do, and they remember you for certain things, and they start following you. And this is before there was social media. My books came out 20 years ago. There was no Amazon. We sold our books out of our trunks, and the few black bookstores we had from Caribou. My first check was given to me by, you guys probably heard of him now as you watch TV. There's a guy named Carl Weber who has 2 shows out called The Family Business and The Black Hamptons. Carl Weber signed my first check. I used to do book signings at his bookstore in Baltimore, in Madonna Mall. So you start off like that way. Like I said, Carl Weber gave my first check for books from his bookstore. I do book signings at his bookstore in Madonna Mall in Baltimore called Urban Knowledge.
Mm-hmm. One thing I want to tell my listening audience, and I'm a very casual guy. I'm kind of laid back and everything. So you got to excuse me in my T-shirt tonight. My brother over here, he got a suit on and stuff, but that's him, okay? So look, tell me something. How, like you said, the competition is tough out there, okay? There are a lot of authors out there of erotic books and everything. And one that comes to mind all the time for many people because of her exposure and her movies that used to come on HBO is Zane, okay? So, just tell us about working with Zane and, just being around her and how she has influenced you.
Actually, I've never met her personally, but I have been at different events with her where she was at, and just reading some of her books influenced a whole lot of my writing. Love her writing style, probably the best to ever do it, really. And really just reading some of the stuff, and hers is so real. So what I did was made mine as real as hers was. I mean, really. And I'm built as the male Zane because she's female. I'm built as the male Zane. But just her stuff was so real, and it was so unorthodox. If you read her stuff, you'll see it's so unorthodox in the way she wrote. And I write unorthodox. I don't write my book in chapters. I write my books just how I talk. I talk, and then I have certain sections of my books say pause because I explain what I'm talking about. Because being from different places, different things mean different things to people. Like I explained, my book starts off in 1988 at Haynes Point. The way I start that book off is to say, in every city, there's a place that everybody hangs at. In Philly, it's called the Plateau. In my hometown of DC, it's called Haynes Point. We all hung on Haynes Point back in the day. And another thing I do in my book is I pause and I put BTS. BTS means back to your story. I'll break off from a story to tell you another story. Then I'll come back and say BTS. Back to the story. Because I write as I talk. The same way I talk, I write. And as you have in dialogue, like when you talk with your fellows, especially I know you frat. So when you talking to frat, y'all in y'all own little zone. But you got to explain it to somebody who doesn't know what y'all talking about.
Well, look, okay, tell me, how do you come up with your ideas for your storylines?
All of my stuff is basically true. I just changed the location. If they were light skinned, I made them dark skinned. If they were white, I made them black. If it happened uptown DC, I've made it in Southeast DC. If it happened in Maryland, I made it in Virginia. And I just changed the names to protect the innocent.
Okay then. All right then. Okay. We got you, bro. We got you.
But think about this, Reggie. Think about this from the side. You frat. Okay, I hang with a number of frats. I know frats, I know sororities, so been around bike clubs the whole 9 yards. You guys have a whole different way of doing things. And it's a code that you guys only know about. It's places you guys only know about being in. If they not frat, they don't know about that spot. It's just like with certain things you do. It's certain places that you've been on the other side of this mountain, and they never know that mountain. The other side of the mountain is this. That's how it is with writing this stuff. It's things that you've done along the way, and things you know about that. I always say you keep it in closet. You hide away from stuff. But if you actually ever put this down on paper, you blow some people's mind. It's situations you've been in, especially college folks and frats and military, wherever you come from. There's certain things that you know about that you have to be in the inner circle to know about it.
Yeah, you're right about that. You do. And like you said, each fraternity, each sorority has their own way of relating with each other. And
y'all talk your own language. Y'all got your own language.
Yeah. We most definitely.
When you see frat, when you hear you in DC and you see a frat from Pennsylvania, y'all go right down the line. You just met this dude today, but y'all got some secrets.
That's right.
He say, hey, remember we was at Howard back in '88. You know exactly what he's talking about. You ain't got to say no more. And if there's certain people around you, you say, all right, we'll talk later, because they can't know about that.
Now, how many books have you written over the last 20 years? How many books?
Okay, I have actually 9 out. Taboo. Let me see. Let me show them to you real quick. I can show you back. Okay. This is Taboo 1. This is my first baby. I call it because all the books are baby. This is Taboo 2. They all are series. Taboo 2. Taboo 3. Taboo 4. And Taboo. Give me 2 seconds. Taboo 5. But I also write murder mysteries too, Reggie. I don't know if you know that yet. I write murder mysteries.
Oh no! Wait a minute.
Murder mysteries also. One is called Taboo Mocha Secret. This is a special one to my heart because this is my first murder mystery. What I did was take 2 characters from the Taboo series and put them in here, but now they're killers. They're killers. It's a mystery book. Then I have Lost to Turn Out Upside Down. This is a really great one. All of my books are basically named after songs. My first book is called What I Do Is Taboo. That's based after Sade's Sweetest Taboo. This is Lost, Turn Out, and Upside Down. Remember the song by Olivia, Lost to Turn Out? That's what this is. Lost, Turn Out, and Upside Down. And then I have two of my favorites, actually, the Incubus and the Succubus. The Incubus is that male, the man that any woman wants. He becomes what he wants. She like him tall, dark, and handsome. She like him red bone, whatever. He turns into that person. And basically, he takes a soul race based along the way. It's a whole lot of, it's erotic mystery thriller. And the Succubus is the woman's version of that. Basically, if you like them tall and pretty, chesty, you like them short and thick, she can hear you in her mind. And you're at the club, she becomes whoever you want her to be. You know how you go in the club and you say, nah, dang my type. She can hear you. So she invents herself and becomes that person right then and there. And she basically, you don't make it out of her house afterwards.
What she do? Lock you in the basement?
She kill you.
She kill you. Oh, okay. All right. She a rough one. She
kills you. That's the whole premise of the book. Incubus and Succubus, they become who you want. You know, you know how as men and as women, we always say we want this one, but that's who you're attracted to. You want the gentleman who's college educated, and that's what your mouth say. He's college educated, and he's good to his mother. That's what you say you want, but that ain't really what you want. You want the bad boy with his pants hanging down, with a big gold chain on his neck. That's who you get.
Okay.
And that's what they become. They become whoever you want them to be. And you just don't know it. Like I said, you go in the club looking for, and she can hear your mind, and he can hear your mind on the other side as a woman. Hear your mind and say, "Okay, I got you," and you never leave the house. That's how they get their orgasm, by killing.
Wow. Hey, you got some heavy stuff there. Look, my producer.
And they really deep and fun along the way. Most of my books are short reads because I can't even say we're from the microwave generation anymore. We're even closer to that. People don't do big reads. I love James Patterson. I love Bob Dowshy, Stephen King, people like that. But no one reads a big book like this anymore. You get a short read because you ain't got a whole lot of time. Think about it. From having babies to working second jobs to getting education. No one has a whole lot of time. So if I give you something that you can't put down, you'll keep following me.
So what's your average page read?
Let me see. Let me see. They're under. Let me see. These are under. Okay, the murder mysteries are under 130, and the biggest taboo is under 200. I'm sure it is. Yep, okay. 199.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it's just enough to get you. And each book is it's a cliffhanger. Taboo is 5 book series now. Book 6, and I'm doing another book. I have a everyday sayings book that's coming out soon too. Actually, it's just my own. You know how for years you use everybody else's quotes. You don't know your grandma quotes, knock on wood and all that nonsense. I've lived enough that I made up my own sayings. And it's just every day. So that's one of the ones come out too. And like I said, with reading, we're not we're big readers, but we're not deep readers. We want just enough and each book is a cliffhanger. I leave you for the next in taboo 1, 2, and 3. It leaves you every book leaves you to cliffhanger. I leave you hanging up there. So you got to get book 2. You got to get book 3. You got to get book 4. You got to get book 5.
Okay. Yeah, my producer says sometimes you just want the freak in the sheet.
And sometimes that's what I give you. I mean, it start off. Let me give you a tidbit of how book 1 starts off. Book 1 starts off. I mean, and I go straight in. I don't. You know how typically a book has all the thank yous in front and all that. My thank yous in the back because you didn't buy my book for me to thank. I mean, of course, I thank God and the people that helped me along the way, but that ain't why you bought my book. You bought my book for what you want to read. This one starts off. I have sex in public. I would do your wife and your girlfriend. I please myself in public restaurants. That's why what I do is taboo. I have no morals and a big ego. If I get you, woman, she will never be yours again. That's why what I do is taboo. Passion and lust are my specialties. One night with me will even make your thongs blush. That's why what I do is taboo. The positions I put you in will ease all your stress and also relieve all your juices. That's why what I do is taboo. Your wildest fantasies will be fulfilled. Your multi-orgasm will be world class. Your body will crave mine. From now on, you only desire one thing, as if you are fiending. The one thing is me. That's really why what I do is taboo.
Okay, bro. Now listen. My producer was asking a question. He said, "Has anyone ever recognized themselves in one of your stories and asked you about it?"
That's the craziest part of it. Folks that I don't even know. I did my first book signing. I did in Baltimore. It was at an outdoor place it was a paint shop. They sold paintings and they sold books. The guy's name is Mr. Cliff. I'm not sure if he's still open. I can't tell you the name of the place. My first book signing I did there. And it was crazy because it's right by Lexington Market. It was outside of Lexington Market, by Lexington Market. And a young lady said, "How you write my story?" I have a character in it called Maggie. Maggie's Madness. Maggie was married and she had kids, but her husband wasn't doing what he needed to do at the house. So Maggie was always out in the street. She's the girlfriend that every girl has, but she won't leave around her husband. So she's the girlfriend that everybody wants, that all the girls want, but they don't hang with her. They just want to know the story. So I had that, and young lady was like, "Oh my God, how you write my story?" Each time I go out, somebody say, "I know this person." And it's not the person they know because I don't know you.
Mm-hmm.
Each book, everybody knows someone in this book. They be like, man, this is my boy. This is my girl. Man, this happened. I was down Haynes Point in 1988. But it's not your story. That's why I tell people. People always, this is something for writers. People always say, I'm going to write a book. It's going to be this, it's going to be that. There's no book that hasn't been written. Really, no matter what anybody's writing. Because whatever happened to you happened to someone else. Really, it really did. You just don't know it. I always tell folks who say they're going to write books, write it before somebody writes your story and you think they stole it. Have you ever been to a bookstore and you read something, you like, how they know that? Because they was there. They just did a different time, a different date, doing the same thing.
Right.
I always tell people, I'm going to write a book. Go ahead and write it because someone else has it. Trust me. Mm-hmm. Someone else has written it. They just ain't put it out.
Right. Now, when you go back to the murder mysteries, just very quickly, what writer inspires you when it comes to murder mysteries?
You know what? I wrote a murder mystery because I was pushed. My editor, Leah Reynolds, pushed me. She edits my books, and she was saying, hey, have you ever thought of killing somebody? I was like, no, I ain't never done it. She said, look, you'll do good killing. So I started killing people. And I was like, oh, that's good killing. You know, because I kill like women kill. If a man kills you, he do a drive-by shooting. Uh-huh. When a woman kills you, she puts something in your food and your ear fall off. You follow what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It doesn't happen immediately. It's 5 years down the road. And next thing you know, your knees then fell off, your toe then fell off. You know, a woman kills differently. So that's how I kill in books like a woman.
And look, not getting off the story topic, is Leah still living up in this area?
No, she lives in Atlanta now.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. How's she doing? She's still doing writing and stuff and editing and stuff?
Yeah, she's still doing good.
Okay, good, good. I ain't talked to her probably in ages since last time I talked to her and everything. Now, my producer Mark was asking, are you familiar with Carl Hassan?
I'm not.
He's a murder mystery writer out of California.
Okay, the only one that I'm really familiar with and I actually met him is Walter Mosley. Mm-hmm. He wrote Devil in a Blue Dress. And he's the most well-known one. I know there are others, but and that's one of the reasons why I wrote this also, because I wanted to be, you know, we read murder mysteries, but most time we don't write them. The most well-known murder mystery writer is Walter Mosley. I met him down our way, Reggie. I met him at St. Mary's College, and there was only 4 people look like him. Me, my wife, my son, and him. Uh-huh. Everybody else in the audience didn't look like us. Mm-hmm. Sold out at St. Mary's College. I mean, a free event at St. Mary's College a couple years ago when nobody there was three people looked like him there. Everybody else didn't look like him. And that's his buyers.
Now, why do you think people are ashamed of the fact that they like erotica books?
You know what? I heard I'm gonna quote something that Kirk Franklin said when he said him and Steve Harvey used to be on tour together. And he said the biggest thing between him singing gospel and Steve doing comedy is Steve doesn't have to have a mask on. Kirk said all church folk mask themselves. And I have to agree with that. We one person on Sunday, we somebody else Monday through Saturday. Think about it. If you think of every industry, it ain't just get done by because folks aren't churchy. Church folk buy everything else, from electronic stuff used in the bedroom to everything else. Everything church folk buy. They just have a mask on about them buying. You think you can go further, Reggie? Cigarettes and alcohol. Church folk smoke more cigarettes and drink more alcohol. Uh-huh. But they mask it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Kirk Franklin said that the other day. I heard him say, I was like, that is so true. Church folk, I mean, really, there wouldn't be no R&B if there were no church folk.
I had to pop in on you, Reggie, because I had to add something to what he just said, because I have a good friend of mine, Ray Pascal, that is very active in his church here. He does some of our musical stuff at the church that he goes to. And as he puts it, because he is like myself, still in that single space, and I'm in my early 60s. Church folks can be some of the biggest freaks out there as well. So I'd love to hear your thoughts about that, Yonder, because church folks can be some of the worst freaks out there, despite the fact that they tried to hide that aspect of their lifestyle.
Come on, let's be honest about it. I mean, really, come on. With the church folk, I mean, really, think about it. If you go to church, any church to this day, right there, it's 85% women. I've done everything in church, you know, Reggie, except preach. I ran every ministry. I was Pastor Paul Burr. And we would talk about, oh my God, ain't nobody here. If a man want a woman, he need to go to church. Because that's what they at.
Yep.
I mean, from the choir on down. I mean, and then one of my first pastors, I have a whole lot of friends who are pastors and bishops. And one of my book one was edited. My original editor was a pastor. One pastor, she edited my first book and gave my first critique.
Wow. Along those same lines, and I'm gonna turn it back over to Reggie and everything. I was telling Reggie before you came on, Yonder, that I work at the Cultural Arts Center here in Durham, the Hayti Heritage Center, and there was a young lady named Deisha Filion, and she wrote a book called The Secret Lives of Church Ladies, and all along those lines. But one of the things she talks about was how a lot of times in the church, people are very much into their food and that culture of food. And if you're not cooking the food right, they will let you know that it's not being cooked right. So you can't just do any potato salad. You just can't do any style of chicken and everything. But she was also talking about the way that the people are treated in the church. Because in her talk, she was doing a talk back with another author after doing this book signing and everything. She mentioned that she got sent to church as a school kid and everything because her parents and her mother and her grandmother weren't accepted by the church because they were divorcees and everything. So that's one of the things we were talking about, me and Reggie, before you came on here, because that's part of what she talks about in her book, is how she got sent to church. And then I think she even was a smart ass kid, for lack of a better term. It was like, how come I got to go to church and y'all ain't got to go to church? But that's when she learned that this whole notion of the way the church treated divorcees and that kind of double standard that exists. So I was just wondering your thoughts around that, Yonder, because it does seem like guys get it one way and can do whatever they want to in the church, but women don't always get that same kind of respect.
But even single mothers, I mean, really, you see them and you see how church women treat them. Going to church as long as I've been to church. I met Reggie at church. Mm-hmm. Going to church, I used to do security at the door for the pastor. And I never wore, actually, Reggie see me in suits now. And I didn't wear church clothes to church. I wore shorts and tennis shoes and stuff like that because I need you to be okay with me at the door. When a brother comes to church or sister come to church, she said he regular Joe. One of the young ladies I laugh at today, friends of mine to this day. Actually, her husband is now a pastor. Mm-hmm. She told me I joined the church. She said because you'd be able. I sing the choir with shorts on. She said you like Russ. She said there was nothing churchy about you because you're not gonna come in these doors to get what the Lord got for you if you think you're being judged. Come on, we all have been drunk on Saturday night and go to church Sunday morning. Oh, you know, and one young fella, bless his heart, he's no longer here. He's come to church, and I would see him. I would grab him to the side. I said, hey, I got some cough drops. I give him 3-4 cough drops. I say, sit in the back. But he was at church with his wife, you know, and we laugh about it. And then when he come out of church, he say, man, that cough drop ain't work. I can still taste it. I said, you came in here with it on you, but where was he at next Sunday? At church. We talk about the Reds, whatever, you know. He coming to the Lord's house trying to get himself right, you know. So I'm like, look, we always out. I call it playing church. We all play church until we decide this is the way we're gonna go.
No, that's very true. Just really quick, and this is for both you and Reggie and everything. One of the things that used to tease that I used to love doing, because like I said, I've been in this single space for a number of years in my early 60s and now and everything. But it is hilarious as all get out when you go to certain churches, and particularly certain holiness churches, and they are ready to deem that you are going to be that person's wife or that person's significant other. So I love how as soon as you walk into the church, they're like, I have prophesied that you were going to be that person's wife and everything. You're going like, I ain't even decided if I like them yet and everything.
Right. But and it's so funny that prophets don't listen to themselves. I had a prophet basically that basically told me that, hey, that I was in the church one day and he said, hey, I need to talk to you. I was like, hey, he said, well, the Lord told me that. And the crazy part about it, he told me what the Lord told him, but he didn't follow. He said, and he told me that the Lord told him that he needed to know me because I knew the people he needed to know. But he really didn't want to know me. But I really did know the people didn't know, including you, Reggie. We're put some of this church stuff in the newspapers and things of that nature. He was like, and I knew all the folks he wanted to know. He wanted to get in TV and radio. I was on radio 20 years ago. When people have folks on podcasts and online stuff now, I was doing this 20 years ago. We were actually totally, before Sirius and XM Satellite hooked up, we were actually supposed to be on a contract with them. I was on a thing called I Am 4 Radio. I was online. I was on radio 20 years ago for 4 hours each night on a Saturday. And this is before you had it all on your phone. So that meant you had to sit home on Saturday night and listen to me for 4 hours. So who listened to me? You know, you ain't at the club. If you're at the club, you ain't listen to me. You had, cause that's when you had to do everything at home on your computer, doing the MySpace errors. So what we need to put this way, in a good churchy way. We need to start telling people what's really going on in the world and let them live the world.
Yeah.
I mean, LGBTQ didn't just start yesterday. It's been around. We just let them out. I mean, nothing against any of that, but church was the biggest folks who hit them. Yeah, I mean, but church hit them a long time ago. It's been that way. This ain't nothing new. We're making it seem like it's new. We're making it seem like it's wrong. And that's been going on.
No, and I'm gonna bounce off like I said I was gonna do, but and Reggie kind of alluded to it. But as I bounce off, I'd love to hear even more explanation because I'm of the opinion that you got a lot of brothers and a lot of sisters even that will look at porn. They will read books, like I was just telling in the chat. I've got a copy of Candy, and I definitely have a copy of Fear of Flying, and all along those lines. But people don't want to admit that they have those books, and they will try to hide those knowledges, and that they are using those books, and they are even using that as a form of foreplay or just a way to get their life going and everything. So I just wanted your thoughts around that, because you got a lot of secret people that will read your book. They won't even acknowledge that they will read your book.
Look, Playboy wouldn't exist if we didn't buy it.
Exactly.
There wouldn't have been no Hugh Hefner. He'd been Joe Hefner. Think about it. There wouldn't have been. You think about, you go back in time with things of nature of the Playboy books, Hustler magazines, things of that nature. This didn't just start yesterday. We've been doing this. We just never acknowledged it. When I first started doing book signings, I would do book signings, then folks wouldn't buy the books for me, but they'd go online and get them. I was like, say I'm doing a book signing, I sell 10 books that day. But somebody, if 50 books online get bought that day because I gave my cards out. You won't let nobody see you doing it, but you're still doing it. So that's where it comes from.
That's how they roll.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's like people. With all the scandals going on in the churches now, have you thought about writing a book, say, on a church pastor or something like that?
You know what? I'm gonna tell you personally, and I say this all the time. I write about stuff that I personally know. I don't know of any, and you know what? If it is one going on, I hope he's gonna write it himself, whoever that might be. But I write about stuff that I don't personally know about any. I know plenty of bishops, plenty of pastors, know plenty of folks from the church scene, and who actually talked to a good pastor friend of mine the other day. But I don't know it any. Now I know some good ones and some bad ones of everything, but I don't know of any of them. But that let them be their story. I try to write what I know. Folks do go into fantasy and imagination. I write what I know. Like I said, I don't know no killing, but I done seen enough. Look, we didn't watch everything from Murder, She Wrote as children to every police story. Think about that. So we know how to kill some people just from TV wise.
Reggie, just really quick, I was going to tell you, there's an author here in Durham that actually has written the kind of book that you're talking about and everything. It's a gentleman, and yonder you can look him up. His name is Carl Kinney. He's a reverend, has been a reverend for a while and everything. And he wrote a book called Backslide, where he was talking about some of the things that he went through in his own life as a pastor and some of how he backslid. And he also wrote a book called Preacher Man. So he acknowledged some of the things, and he was at a big church where he acknowledged some of the things that he did in his ministry. So he did write his story. He also wrote a story where he was praising his dad and his love of his dad, which is called My Daddy's Promise. But definitely Carl Kinney is here in Durham and is one of those people that was a pastor that also acknowledges his mistakes.
And see, that's a genuine book. That's when you can read one. See, a whole lot of stuff is made up. I'm cool with that too. But when you have a genuine story, oh, it comes off so different. You know, it's a page turner. You like, it's just like watching a good story on TV. You can watch everything from Tyler Perry to the New York Undercover Show. You know, all the CSIs and everything. Man, CSI Miami is one of my favorites. I feel Horatio got it down packed more than everybody. He feel that story. But then you watch some of the other ones, the new ones, the FBI and stuff like. You like, they just started acting yesterday. You know, when you see somebody who really into a story, you be like, you know, when Horatio put the glasses on, you done. You know he gonna get him.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? You watch it when he put the glasses on, you like, oh man, it's over, dude. It's over.
But Yonder, do you like? Because one of my favorites, and I don't know if Reggie likes it, but are you a fan of Criminal Minds? Because I'm a big fan of the profiler shows, and I love Criminal Minds.
I'm gonna tell you who my favorite character on that is. The young boy.
Mm-hmm.
What's his name? The young one. He's 25, 30.
Yeah, the one that's the profiler, got a lot of his growing up kind of stuff going on.
And you know he has what they call a photographic memory.
Spencer.
Man, that's my dude. I can't tell you what his name is. Oh, that is my dude.
Yeah, I think the character's name is Spencer, if I remember correctly.
Yes. Man, that is my dude. People don't understand that. I watch TV for people watch for different stuff. I watch everything. I'm gonna tell you one of my favorite shows is it's come back on. What's the guy's name? His son name was Adam. John Walsh has come back on. I like storyline. It's storyline. You got to build me there. You can't just we're shooting everybody. We're doing
America's Most Wanted. America's Most Wanted. That's the one you think about.
You know, he's coming back on now.
Yes, with his son.
It's storyline. You know, he builds it up. Okay, he was 5 years old. He here, and they was in Southeast DC. Then they moved from Southeast DC to Northeast DC, and then they went from here to uptown by Howard University by the yard. You follow what I'm saying? And he goes, it's storyline. You have to build the storyline. I gotta build you up to put you in. I need you to feel where I'm at. Like for instance, some of my characters, I have real names. They're based on some real people. And one of the characters' name, I had to make his name was his real name. I had to get a synonym for his name, and it was shake because the person shook all the time. So it had to mean the same thing. It had to make them so real. Even some of the names in there. If your name was John Thompson, I made you James twice or something. I need you to feel the JT in there. You follow what I'm saying? I need you to feel, because when you see the characters, they become villains or they become heroes. I need a villain, I need a good villain, and I need some good heroes in there. I want you to feel this person. One of the best writers I've ever talked to, he's actually in North Carolina now. A guy named you guys might have heard of him. He said he's in North Carolina, but he's from New York, from Harlem. His name is Treasure Blue. The only book I've ever read in my entire life that I had anxiety, I cried, I was mad. Really, this book was so good. It's called Harlem Girl Lost. This book was so good that I was at my good government job back in the day, and I told my supervisor I was sick because I had to go in the bathroom and finish the book off. That's what you want to do. You want to feel your characters. You want them to win, or you want them to lose, or you want them to stop doing whatever they're doing. You know, you want to feel the character, like he's saying with the pastor. You understood him because you knew it was his story.
Now, look, Yonder, do you have any plans to take in your books and make movies out of them?
That's what my next plan is. That's what I'm really working on now. I want to make them plays and then movies, or movies and then plays, whatever way it goes. Haven't started working with anyone yet on that aspect of it, but that's really why I want to go with these, because I feel that it's a storyline that people can relate to, you know, because one of my books, after they do all that crazy stuff, they go to church on Sunday. They trying to get itself together. They just recovering holes and things in nature. They trying to get life together, you know, and people don't realize this. Even though you're on that side of it, you're still trying to live right. You know, everybody don't want to be a hoe the rest of life. Everybody don't want to be a freaker the rest of life. If you're going to be there, you want to be there for one person. So everybody's trying to get this up. Each book, they're getting better. They're going to college, you know, they're trying to get this up together, but they still got issues.
I get it. All right. Yep. You're right about that. You're right.
To this day, we could be 50, 60, 70. We still got some issues. One of the young ladies I just met recently, and she's the head of the book festival I'm going to do, and she's from DC, and we talked a whole lot, and we really related because She's 70 and she writes erotica. She's 70. She writes erotica. When we first started talking, I was like, okay, I said, you sign up for stuff, they don't let erotica in all events. But this one had erotica in it. And I said, hey, I write erotica. She said, oh, that's fine. I write it too. I was like, you write erotica? And like I said, she's 70 years old. And to hear some of her stories, she'd be like, whoa, ho, ho, ho. And she's 70.
She be throwing down, huh?
Yeah, really good stuff.
Mm-hmm. Now, you say she lives in Florida now.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So tell me something about this upcoming book festival.
Okay, it's called a Fresh Book Festival. It's in Daytona. I think this is the 11th or 12th year, and it's international. They do a whole lot for the kids down there because, not just because we're in a book band. They've been doing this before. They do all sorts of things where they give out kids books and they have them in there, poetry slams, all sorts of workshops and things of that nature. It's called the Fresh Book Festival. It's in Daytona, Florida, and it's the 23rd through the 25th of 22nd through the 25th of February. And also, not only is it a book festival, they have an international movie festival also, which starts that Thursday. The book festival does a movie festival, and they do a book festival. So I think it's really I've been meaning to go for years. Now that I'm down here in Florida, I say I'm a lock in and go down there. And I talked to a young lady who sponsored the event, and we had good conversations. And she was like, "Hey, I can't wait to meet you. I can't wait to get stuff." And I sent her some books. She's like, "Hey, we good." And then we found out she's from DC also, so she was telling me about stuff that happened down the Fox Trap. We was like, Fox Trap. She talked about Howard University, Marion, Riverfest, and we all there. When you're from the DC area, you know about all those events,
right?
George Avenue Day. She was like uptown. She said they hung with the Fox Trap, RSVP. I know about all those places. When DC was a fun time.
Back in the day. Back in the day.
High Theater.
Yeah. He said, and Mark was asking, have you done the Zura near Houston Festival?
I haven't done a whole lot of festivals. And reason being, my books come from a whole different aspect. I don't do a whole lot of book festivals because we usually do conferences when I do my books. I've been hooked up with a group called the Black Tigers Motorcycle Club. So every year for 7 years straight, they will have us down there. And you know how you have a ski trip? They have a big festival for bikers. And originally when we went down there, they was, how when you go a ski trip, the dead space, they want everybody to sit at the hotel. We became the dead space. They gave us a small room, seated 200 for people. We sold it out that day. The next year they gave the room, had 500 people. Took no problem. The next year they gave us a place that had 800 people. Okay, y'all ain't gonna fill us out. Then for the last 5 years they gave us a place that had that seated 2,000 people. Not a chair. People sitting on the floor. People standing up.
So what do you do in the conference when you do a conference?
What we do is we have folks write down a question they want to ask, put it on a postcard, and put it in the bag. No. We're not going to judge you. We put them out and we read them and we talk about it. And it becomes a whole theory of knowledge and folks standing up, asking for the microphone. They telling their version of this. And it's 4 hours long. And really after 4 hours, they still want more. They're not getting up. You're talking about 2,000 bikers, male and female.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. So, man, we done covered a lot tonight with you, man. With your writing and stuff and your style, things like that. Now, what kind of advice do you have for someone who wants to get into the erotic writing business?
I would just say book writing. They will have to, I would say read books first. I learned how to publish my book because when I first came out, nobody published me. So I read a book on how to publish a book by a good friend of mine named Kwame Alexander. He just won recently. I'll send you the clip. He just won an Emmy for his book called The Crossover. He just won an Emmy. The only brother you ever seen won an Emmy. He just won an Emmy. New York Times bestseller. A good friend of mine named Kwame Alexander. I read a book on how to write a book because when no one helps you, you have to read about it, find out. So I read a book on how to write a book, how to publish a book, and I read his book, how to publish a book. It's called Do the Right Thing. Once I read it, I was like, that's it. No one tells you how to do this. So learn as much as you can learn so you'll sign the right contracts and be in the right place. It's like the music industry from a different aspect. Or the movie industry, you know. You don't know where you're at, you'll sign a stupid contract and you'll owe them your copyright and everything else. But you can do all this yourself. And if you start writing, I would suggest that once you write it, go to librarycongress.gov and get your stuff copyrighted. I think it's $60 now. You push a button, you load it up, you push a button, they'll send you a sample copy of your copyright that day, and in 2 weeks they have the copyright in mail by the federal government, and your stuff is copyrighted. Don't give your stuff. Everybody wants to have someone to read this stuff. Hey, read, what you think about this? I get it all the time. Folks always say, hey, Yonder, I want you to read this chapter. I want to see it. I said, no, because if you like it, I love it. You have to sell it, so you got to like your chapter. I don't have to even care about it. You have to like what you write, not me. I'm not your reader. You're your reader first. You got to be your biggest fan first. Then you'll get fans. You'll get readers. You'll get writers. But you have to like this yourself. You can't say my cousin liked it, my mama liked it, the dog liked it, Reggie liked it, the producer liked it. You gotta like it. Yeah. When you like it, you'll sell it, you'll push it, you'll be part of it. It'll be your baby. But if you don't like it, just like throwing a basketball down the street and you're not a basketball player.
Hey, Yonder and Reggie, Zoe Neal Hurston, who I mentioned earlier, and her festival is in Edenville, was part of that great Harlem Renaissance, and all along those lines, I've heard several people for the last several years, whether we're talking music or talking movies or a number of other styles of creativity, thinking that we're in the middle of another renaissance. So I was just wondering, and this is for both you and Reggie, if you think we're in the middle of another new renaissance, because we had that Harlem Renaissance that was in the late 1900s, and it seems like we might be in the middle of another new one. But I was wondering your take on that, Yonder, and also your take, Reggie.
I just said that. I just had this conversation with the young lady from Daytona. We're right. I think we're going to another renaissance because out of nowhere, I don't know if the pandemic brought it on or what brought it on. I don't know how the first renaissance got brought on, but I think we're back into reading and learning and being. And I think we're back into a renaissance. I just had this conversation, and I don't know what the years they happened, but we talked about, folks want to be, everybody wants to be an instant star. One of the things I say about books, it doesn't make you instant star. It opens doors for other things to happen. If you go back in history, most folks knew who Maya Angelou was, but they didn't really know who she was till Oprah started bringing her back out. Terry McMillan's Wait and Exhale was out 20 years. They wrote the movie 30. They wrote the book 10 years later. So it was out 30 years before we knew what Wait and Exhale was. It's usually, I can't say years, but most of us have been doing this 20 some odd years or 20 years. And that's when it's really at its peak. It's about to, I can't put a time on it because I don't know when the first Renaissance happened, but I do know when it happened, but it's a timing thing. And then you think TV has given us everything and nothing. It's some good stuff on there, some bad stuff on there, some terrible stuff on there. So, and then with books, you have different ways to read them now. One time you had to have a hard copy book. Now you can get the Kindle and you can hear them audio now. So that's those are different ways of getting people. Some people will never read a book, but they will listen to 20 books in a month, Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense. I would love to hear Reggie's thoughts, and I'll pop up again and everything. But to your point, Yonder, Hidden Image and Black Panther, I think took about 20 to 30 years to make and everything. So those books were out there a number of years before they were made into movies. I think Black Panther was originally a comic book, if I remember correctly, and definitely Hidden Image was a book, and it wasn't made until a movie. So some 10 or 15, 20 years later, and you got to go through that whole process of even getting it created and getting the studio behind it. But I know that was on the shelf in a number of places before it got made.
And most movies, most people don't realize this, is I mean, and it's so funny that we watch so many movies, but we don't realize we've never read that book. People don't, like you said, they didn't know Black Panther was, like you said, it was originally a comic book. Most people have never picked that comic book up. Most,
right,
like from Devil in a Blue Dress to half of the stuff we watch on TV now. Those are, I don't say half, maybe 80% of stuff we watch on TV now was a book.
Yeah, when you talk about Renaissance, I think we probably are going through another Renaissance, and like you said, probably for the pandemic has brought a lot of it on because we were at home, we didn't have nothing to do, so everybody was trying to find something to do, and so they said, "Hey, let me try and put my hand to the pen and see can I, create a book." There's a lot of books out there. Some of them are good books, some of them are bad books.
Mm-hmm.
But you got a lot of authors out there now, that have put books out, and and I think that the pandemic gave people the push to do it. But I think also people were looking for extra cash, okay? Or looking for...
And it's not going to bring cash directly.
Yeah.
It's like making a song a day. Unless you're one-hit wonder, you're really not. If you don't put anything into your craft, it's anything from going to college to working a good job. Mm-hmm. If you don't do anything in your craft, keep making your craft better. I mean, really, I'm a writer. I'm a reader first, and then I'm a writer. And most of the time, I can't watch a whole lot of TV because a good storyline is a storyline. Whether you get it from church, wherever you get a good storyline from, a good storyline is a good storyline, but you have to expand on it. And if you don't expand on it and keep upping your skills and everything and getting around, most of my friends are authors. And it's like, iron sharpens iron. We sharpen each other. Hey, have you done this? Have you done this? Hey, look at this. We don't read each other's books until they're out because we're not critiquers. Let the editor do their job. But we don't read each other's books until they're out because one of the biggest things you'll find out is I might like it and the world loves it. For instance, with my first book, one of my first editors took out one of my main characters that all the women like. It's a character named Maggie, called her Maggie Madness. And she said, I just don't like her. And I bumped into her years ago at Applebee's in Charles County. And I told her, she said, and I showed her a book. She's like, oh my God. I said, Maggie got a story on. She's like, I didn't. It wasn't you just editing. She didn't. She was the editor, but she wanted to take control of the book. Let the book do its own thing. She didn't want to edit. She took the whole character out there. And that's back in the day when we wrote and then we typed and everything. So basically, after she took it out, I had to type back up again and put Maggie back in there. I was like, no, she's a character of her own, and she's created a whole lane of her own. Women love Maggie. Just because you don't like it don't mean somebody else like. Come on,
that's right.
Everything from Shades of Grey to Baldowski to the Reacher series and stuff. You can think about everything we read. Somebody else liked it. I mean, we can go down to even music. Mm-hmm. Okay, I don't know what Taylor Swift sing. Somebody like her. Matter of fact, some billions of folks like her, right?
Oh yeah, she making it, boy. She making it. She making it.
You go back from Paul McCartney to the Temptations. Somebody liked them.
That's right.
It ain't necessarily had to be you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, boy, some money out there, man. There's some money out there.
And you think it's time. I mean, you think of time. It's some people. It's some authors that like the producer was saying, it's some authors that folks never heard of. But if you read their book, you're like, this is good. This is really good. And that's how a whole lot of us are until it's unsung and unspoken until it's that time. And I believe everything is in timing. I mean, the right time for the right thing. I mean, really, from EU playing the butt to Chuck Brown out, everything's a timing. When you hear some Chuck Brown from DC, you're like, whoa. But when they hear it from out of town, they're like, man, what is that? That was out back in 72. They hit Bustin' Loose. They're like, man, that's a nice little sound. You like right. That? That record was made in 72. Yeah. And the butt is 30 years old. They hit a butt, people still mm-hmm. And then the Beyonce folks didn't know who Frankie Beverly was.
Yeah.
That's the same song Before I Let Go.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. Hey, look, do you know Nina Fox?
I do know Nina Fox. I've done events with her along the way.
Uh-huh. Yeah, she's another erotic author.
Mm-hmm. That's really good stuff. Really good stuff.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I tell you, man, it's been great sitting down talking with you tonight.
Man, the pleasure's all mine, man. I got a new writer for you too. My niece is a writer, and I said,
Oh, okay.
I told her about you, and she's a young writer, and I said I'll talk to my boss and see
Oh
if he
shoot,
looks
man!
for
Don't even go there.
a new writer.
Hey, I'm looking for a lot of writers. I mean, not a lot, but I like if I could get me probably 5 to 10 steady writers.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be doing good. And right now, a couple of things I'm doing, looking at South Carolina State, work with their journalism department. Also looking at working with Howard University's journalism department. And I better look at my university, North Carolina Central University's journalism department, before they get me for looking at everybody else and not looking at my old school.
Where do you go? I know you went. Where you went down south? Where you go?
I went North Carolina Central down in Durham.
Okay, yeah, come on. Look. Anywhere you go, bring me with you, man.
Yeah.
We can do some book forums and things of that nature, man. Because young folks, like I said, they know how to do everything else, but this is, I ain't gonna say it's hard for them. It's just learning the ropes. I mean, really. They probably can do it quicker than anybody else because they know the ropes. They know all the new technology and everything. Because I still write my books the old-fashioned way. I mean, I type them, but you can do a book on your voice, on your phone now.
Oh yeah, most definitely. And
then they use AI, which I don't suggest they do a whole lot of that. If you write a good story, write a good story. Be the writer. Be who you are. Write the good story because you use AI for everything now.
And I think AI is going to hurt because you're going to get the lazy writers out there who are just going to speak an idea into AI and wait for it to pop out,
And you're going to get duplicate writers.
Yeah.
You're going to get the same story 20 times. Just like, for instance, if you buy on stock stuff, you get book on and you lazy, you don't want to go out and get a photographer and get a photo, you get some on stock. I had a good friend of mine, world renowned now, doing good stuff. And I remember years ago, he said, "Hey man, I can't do it that way. I got these people who are gonna do my front cover." And I said, "Look, man," I said, "I know you don't want to hear this." He said, "What?" I said, "I've seen that front cover before." He said, "Nah, you ain't never seen this before." I said, "Look, I'm not trying to get on you, man." I said, "Listen to me. I've seen it. I read everything. I'm on different websites. I'm on book stuff all day long. Mm-hmm. I seen that." And about 6 months later, he said, "Man, I've seen it on six overcoats myself." I said, "You seen it on 6? I seen it on 60." He was like, "Dude," I said, "You want your front cover to be yours, fresh. Even the name of your book." Like I said, this one, my first book cover cost $2,000. Mm-hmm. And people probably say that's a whole lot. No, I needed to stand out by itself. You won't see this no more because I own all the pictures to it. You won't see this again. You won't see this. You won't see this because I own it. I went with them. The first one, it had to be different. Basically doing a front cover cost more than the book cost. But I needed to stand out by itself. I didn't want to look like no one else. I didn't want nobody to say this was stolen. That I went with the photographer. She got the models. She did it. She did the pictures, and she did everything.
That's where you got to do it. So look, tell the listener audience how you can purchase your books.
Okay, all my books are on Amazon. I mean, I've been on Amazon, which is so great. This is the greatest part about the writing experience now. Mm-hmm. When I first came out, we had to buy our books in bulk. They was in the back of my Chevy Blaze. I bought 1,000 books. You had to pay all this crazy money for them. There was no Amazon out there. We have agreement with my books are printed and they're in Amazon. So you go on Amazon, you can get any of them. What I do is Taboo 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or Incubus, Succubus, Lost, Turn Upside Down, or Taboo Mocha Secrets. Put Yonder in Amazon and put What I Do Is Taboo. They'll all come up. Sometimes they give you a budget price. If you want to get in contact with me directly because you want a signed copy of it, I'm going to leave my email address. It'll be in the link and everything. And you email me and I'll tell you, give you a bulk price of them or, a discount price, and I'll sign them all and I'll send them to you directly. It's Yonder Taboo at gmail.com. Again, Yonder Taboo at gmail.com, and I'll give you a PayPal link or one of the links or whatever, Cash App. Send it to me. The next day, I'll sign them that night. Next day, I'm at the post office, mailing them off. And post office is a great place, too, for promotion. One of the biggest things I tell folks, you promote anywhere you go. I met a young lady at the post office when I worked at L'Enfant Plaza 20 years ago. Keisha and I can't tell you the other name. They started coming to my events. They were post employees, so I'm signing books and putting them in envelopes. They said, "What you write?" I gave them books. 20 years later, I was down at Commerce, downtown DC, and I'm signing a book and put them in thing, mail them off. And young lady said, "Yonder." She brought all the girls from outside the post office who were in there, who were in the back room. They was like, "We know you. We got your stuff." They still buying books 20 years later. The postal folks. I love post office employees.
That's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. So,
like I said, and you get places that you have no idea about because you got to mail them books off. And like I said, Amazon will ship them directly, but if you want them signed, but I was signing books because somebody sent me money, sign books. And like I said, each post office, I'm in DC area, DC, Maryland, Virginia area. And like I said, I've been knowing these young ladies 20 years. They started coming to events of mine, and we're still friends to this day. There's a book club. I love book clubs. If you guys have any book clubs, I love to come to book clubs, sit down with you, have something to eat, something to drink, and let's talk about it. Because people love to talk. And once you talk about it to a book club, they them all bought 10 books a piece. I got 9 out. And then they'll tell their friends and more friends and friends. And, you know, because people still have book clubs, which is so cool.
Yeah, it is. It is. It is. If they're not meeting in person, they're meeting on Zoom.
Yeah. And I'll do a Zoom call. I'll come to you. I mean, really, because when you see people and touch people, hold their hand, shake their hand, give them a hug, take pictures with them, they feel like they know you. So once you feel like, you know, I'm your big brother, your little brother, your uncle, whatever you want to call me, it becomes family. And then they'll tell some other family member about you. It's like you their cousin. Hey, my cousin got a book out. My family. I'm called everything. I'm uncles. I'm everybody's uncle. I'm their big brother. I'm their little brother. Right. I'm family. You know,
right. Hey, look, Mark said this is one last comment that Mark has before we shut down. He said, "When are you gonna make the frat or sorority erotic book?"
Well, one of y'all got it right. I wasn't in the frat. I know enough sororities. I think I've said some things they don't want me to say, and some of those. So, but they're big fans. Then look, you frat Reggie, help me write it.
We're gonna have a
collaboration, and
collaboration on that.
The word is collaborated. I'm not frat either, so I can't write a frat book, but I do have frat brothers and everything. Reggie, I'm gonna have to tease you because I got friends at the North Carolina Central University. So if you don't go down to the journalism department, Brett Chambers and a number of those other professors, including the folks at WNZU, might come and decide to beat both of us down because you go to Howard and you go to South Carolina, but you're not coming to Central or Shaw or St. Aug. So we might have to grab some journalism kids from our neck of the woods as well.
Yeah, because I was thinking about that the other day. I said, I'm talking to Howard, I'm talking to South Carolina State, putting things in place. I said, I better get down to North Carolina Central where I went to school at and put something in place down there. You know,
Reggie, we could do a frat book. I have a good friend as a Kappa, and I have been to CIAA with them. I got mad love for them because I go to events with them. I've been out to the Redskins game with them, and they tailgate. And then I also did Morgan State's homecoming, so I knew both sides of that. Really, I was the Q Dogs, and I knew the Kappa, so it was a funny thing because I knew both sides. But I went to school with neither one of them, but I knew both sides because they all grew up in my old neighborhood. I grew up in Southeast DC, so we was in Southeast way before we were frat. So I knew all sides there. So I have a whole lot of friends that are frat.
Yeah, so I got to jump on it. I got to jump on it.
And a whole lot. I worked for DOD for 21 years. Got a whole lot of military buddies too.
Yeah.
Yonder, by the way, that Brett that I was talking about, I believe he's from Southeast as well, because I know his sister is in the beauty business. I think she might still be in the DC area, and her was dating a producer by the name of Blue, and all along those lines. They might even be married, but I think Mr. Chambers, who is with the journalism department over at Central, has been there for a number of years and also has one of the longest running open mics at any nightclub. I think it's been going on for 20 or 25 years.
Oh,
he is from the area.
Because look, because all DC love all DC. I have to say that once you say from DC somewhere, it's a different love when they see somebody from their neighborhood. Like, where you grew up at? I say it all the time. And that down here in Tampa, we have a whole contingency of DMV folks, I call them. When we see tags that had DC around on, we're like, where you from? And we it's relationship right there just because we're from the same place.
Yeah, like I said, you and Brett will probably get along because I'm pretty sure that he's from Southeast because I know that he's definitely from that area.
We family. We family then.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay, man, we got to break on off. Boy, it's been great sitting down with you and chopping it up for an hour.
Hey, Reggie, I got one last thing I want to say. I'm part of two anthologies called Joy in the Morning and Joy 365. They actually both hit Amazon bestseller. One hit Amazon bestseller last year. The other one just hit Amazon bestseller maybe 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. And we do a whole lot of big book signings too. They are actually my face side of my books, which actually hit Amazon bestseller. And I know 2 years ago, we were supposed to have been going to, our picture was on New York Times Square. It was actually on New York Times Square, but we didn't get to go up there because it was COVID time then. But I know she's supposed to be doing a whole lot of big things this year. So when I do them, I'll make sure I let you guys know. Maybe you guys interview me up there. Maybe you guys interview some more of the folks in the book. It's 365 authors in each book. And that's a whole, and mind you, 80% of the authors actually are pastors.
365 authors.
Yep, is a book for every day of the year.
It's like
for every day of the year. Yep. Mm-hmm.
It's like a devotional book.
Yep.
Oh, okay, cool. Good.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff. Okay. Well, look, man, I got to roll, man. To my audience, this has been your boy Reggie Kearney, your Urban Sentinel Live, with the Mr. Erotic himself, Yonder, and his line of taboo books. Please check them out. Go to if you just email them at yondertaboo@gmail.com.
And of course, they're for signed copy, and of course, they're on Amazon and all the majors. If you go to Books A Million or Barnes & Noble, if they don't have it in there, you tell them get it. They'll have it there 2 days later.
Yeah, I want you to support this young man. He's doing great things. He's a great author. So support him. We got to support our own and push him. Okay. Then one day you might see one of his books on the big screen or on a television show. But
exactly.
Support him. Please go out and support him. Buy a couple books. Help him out. Like I said, it's all about support. All about Black support during this month of Black History Month. Okay. So look. Until next week, I want everybody to have a good one. Yonder, again, thanks for hanging out with me tonight, man. It's been good. You and I'll be talking again soon. Just take care. If there are any authors out there, please get in contact with me. You can hit me up on Instagram at the Urban Sentinel 2.0, or you can hit me on Facebook at Reginald Alphaman Kearney, okay? Made it easy for you. So just message me, So until next week, everybody be safe. Take care of yourselves, Enjoy this sunny weather we have for the next couple of days because it's going to get cold again, So look, we're not down in Florida like Yonder is. So like I said, man, continue to enjoy life, man. Again, thank you. And we will be talking.
Thank you so much, Reggie.
Okay, man. Be good now.
Be good.
Be good, everyone. Be safe now. Have a good week, everyone.
All right.